It's a common knowledge that elaborating and making use of the effective technologies in power supply of the industry has resulted in a dramatic upswing in West European development of economics. Heat and power output is one of the most perspective branches in not only West European countries, but also in Ukraine. Unfortunately, this country's development has been hit by the economic crisis. On the one hand, we possess an enormous market of consumers. On the other hand, the antiquated equipment can hardly meet even immediate needs. The state budget is hardly enough to update and to reconstruct the technological base. There is, however, a way out of this vicious circle. This way out is to involve investments into this strategic branch. Sumy region is situated in the northeast of Ukraine. The town of Sumy is the center of the region and also its administrative, industrial and cultural center. The town has expanded scores of times over the past 350 years of its existence. Actually, about 300,000 inhabitants have Sumy as a place of residence. There are more than 200 industrial sites in the town nowadays. The big, large strategic ones are Kimprom Production Society, Selmy, and Sumy Frunze Science and Production Society. Well, the town is growing steadily. New housing accommodations are being built. New residential micro-districts construction has been completed over a short period of time. Actually, the Sumy Heat and Power Station, district boiler center of the northern industrial estate, and more than 100 heat boiler houses supply heat energy to the town. The station is the only power generating source which covers about 25% of the city's power load. There are other two heat and power stations in the towns of Oktyrka and Shostka. Their power capacity is 12 and 126 megawatts. Virtually, however, this power capacity level is never reached. Thus, the power deficiency is quite obvious. What is the way to solve this problem when the region's power demand is 600 megawatts? The regional administration once found a solution. The agreement on electro-energy supply was concluded with Kursky nuclear power station. This station, that is situated in neighboring Russia, covered up to 90% of the Sumy region demand and 2/3 of the regional center demand. But electro-energy supply by Kursky power station is not a final solution of this problem. It is rather a good reason to consider a possibility to warm 2 million of the region inhabitants independent on the foreign sources of power. Now that the political situation exerts its influence on regularity of gas supply to heat and power stations, it results into power supply interruptions. The up-to-date gas turbine unit's reconstruction and installation at the Sumy Heat and Power Station is the real opportunity to liquidate power and heat capacity deficit under the circumstances. The Sumy Heat and Power Station construction was started in 1953. That time, it was one of the workshops at the Sumy Frunze Engineering Works. The station was put under operation in April 1957. The station has been working for more than 40 years on the market of Sumy and Sumy region.
За это время было смонтировано 3 паровых котла ЦКТИ 75.
3 CKTE 7539 boilers and 2 AT12U steam turbines have been assembled since then. As the town was developing, the enterprise reconstruction has been carried out. The heating boiler's heat capacity was brought up to 87 heat tons per hour and that of turbine up to 14 tons of steam per hour in 1976. Thus, the set capacity made up 28 megawatts. 3 PTVM 100 water heating boilers were installed in addition to the existing equipment in the 80s. These boilers could supply the population with 60% and communal demands with 30 up to 40% of heat and power. The station has been part of the common power system all this time since its putting under operation in 1957. This company operated on lease starting from 1991 due to the new forms of economic management. It was transformed into the Sumy closed joint stock company Sumy Networks Enterprise in 1996. The Sumy Heating Power Station's technical base is formed of 3 heating boilers. Their heat capacity is 87 tons of steam per hour. The parameters are the following. The pressure is 3.9 megapascals, the temperature is 400 degrees Celsius, made in Czech Republic, and 3 heat boilers PTVM 100. The latter one's heat capacity is 116 megawatts. The heating boilers operate for 2 turbines made in Czech Republic. Their capacity is 14 megawatts each. Thus, the station's capacity is 28 megawatts. The heat capacity is 406 megawatts. If we have a look at the diagram of the station's loads year after year from 1985 till 2000, it becomes obvious that the Sumy Heat and Power Station produces 1 million gigacalories of heat at whatever crisis. Electric power is steadily produced. The annual fuel consumption by Heat Networks Enterprise Closed Joint Stock Company was 178,700 tons of comparison fuel in 1999, including oil is 105,000 tons of comparison fuel. Natural gas is 152,700 tons of comparison fuel. Coal is 25,900 tons of comparison fuel. This heat and power station's being unique is that the turbines operate under a regime of the worsened vacuum, that is, the town network water runs through turbine condensers. That's why fuel consumption to generate heat and power here is one of the lowest ones in Ukraine. The natural gas is the only kind of fuel used at the Sumy Heat and Power Station. The reserve fuel is coal and oil. The river Psol supplies water for operation of the station and is situated nearby. The heat and power station actually requires its main equipment updating. The reconstruction of the station is acutely required to handle the heat and power deficiency more effectively. To effectuate this is impossible without involving large investments. However, our enterprise lacks financial means, making such an investment impossible. The town is growing, thus heat and power infrastructure must be created. As a human cannot live without water and bread, a modern dweller cannot live without heat and electric power. So, the actual state of power supply is going to exist on until the alternative power sources are discovered. Unfortunately, the financial means received for the system reconstruction of the station are deficient, and it's a pity, because the more so the town's administration clearly realizes the necessity of the reconstruction project and its commercial profit. Nowadays, neither the city nor the region budgets are capable to finance the project like this.
Сейчас ведутся переговоры с немецкой фирмой, которая предлагает.
Nowadays, a German company is being negotiated on the subject of offering its services to reconstruct the boiler in Sumy, namely installation of 2 gas generators that will enable to increase power output at the station. Thus, the heat generation capacity will considerably be increased too. We are to confirm our availability of capital and give guarantees. There is going to be another meeting with representatives of the German company in the future to come to determine schedule and beginning of installation. It is worth mentioning that even though the Ukrainian budget can hardly finance the power branch, the Ukrainian legislation supports this strategic sphere in every way. The state the power branch is in leaves much to be desired.
Практически в городе два мощных источника тепла. Это котельная...
Basically, there are two powerful heat supply sources. The first one is a boiler belonging to the Frunze Production Society and the station in view. As the equipment has been exploited for more than 40 years, any critical situation would inevitably affect the town. According to the hydraulic data, these two enterprises do not reserve each other. Nowadays, it is necessary to consider both reconstruction and modernization of the station. They closely follow all innovations in the sphere of electro-energy. The propositions made by the Ukrainian producers of the power supply equipment and the similar practice of the foreign stations have been put to careful study. The specialists of the Sumy heat and power station have calculated that the method of joint cycle of heat and power output is the most preferential one at this time and at this place, given there is no local fuel for the heat output. This fuel is imported. That is the only way to output power and heat so badly demanded by the town and region with a minimal energy consumption. So, there are some plans and real projects already to update the station's equipment. Nowadays, the enterprise is in search of an investing partner who would carry out reconstruction of the Sumy heat and power station on a mutually profitable basis. What is expecting the future investor?
Первый вариант это мы разработан институтом.
The first reconstruction version was elaborated by the Kiev Ukrenergoprom Institute. According to this version, 3 gas turbine units with recovery boilers at the exit would be installed at our station. Their unit capacity is 50 megawatt. The heat capacity is 70 megawatt. Practical realization of this project would solve the problem of both heat and power supply of the town. There would be enough power left to supply the region. The equipment is made in Ukraine. Those are turbo generators and gas turbine units produced by Turboatom Kharkov plant. This project's cost is $42 million. The other version has been elaborated jointly with German Borzig firm. This version features installation of 2 gas turbines with recovery boilers produced by this firm. Realization of this project is simple enough, because this is the block equipment and it requires no construction framework, so its assembly might be carried out within 2 or 3 months. The cost of this project is 45 million Deutschmarks. Sumy looks like a comparatively small urban area devoid of any problems. Power station houses, blocks of flats, bright sunlit surface of the river Psel, all that suggests a complete harmony between a man and nature. The town is growing and the power supply is really supposed to grow along with it. Who is going to become such a rich market's possessor? We offer our own experience, confidence and the ready infrastructure. He who will invest into this country's electro-energy development would make an investment into this most highly perspective and profitable branch. Good luck